Find the balance. This one is a mouthful, but we will deal with finding balance in detail in another module. Newton's third law states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. This also applies to our emotions. When we are emotionally strongly impacted by anything, we find ourselves on a scale somewhere between euphoria and despondence. In the greatest catastrophe that has ever befallen you lies the greatest wisdom you can imagine. In the happiest moment you've ever experienced, there's a gem of sadness that ensures you don't get too euphoric and lose touch with your environment. You know about those situations where you were absolutely elated about something, and then someone burst your bubble, and you felt such disappointment at having lost the feeling of elation. This is because life teaches us that there's a downside to every euphoria. If we don't accept this downside, then we'll be stuck in the euphoria and we'll be off balance. That's fine because we need to be brought down to earth, preferably by choice. This balance also goes to situations that you need to deal with. For example, when you're given too much change in the shop, you turn your surprise around and give the money back to the shop assistant who will otherwise need to correct the error from their own pocket. Or you apologize to a child when you were wrong, rather than to assume that you can get away with it because you're an adult. Or you pay back any money that you've borrowed from a friend or family member, no matter how long it takes you, because you want to have the reputation of being a person who keeps your word at all costs. The other side of the coin is that where you experience despondence, there's wisdom in the situation. If you don't find the wisdom, then you'll make the same decisions or mistakes over and over. Have you noticed how people have serial relationships with the same issues, or the same financial failures, or a haphazard work history with the same destructive pattern? And then they fall into a hole of self-pity because nothing is ever working out for them. They don't stop for a moment to look back and identify how each experience has made them a better, stronger, or wiser person. A hamster on a wheel doesn't know when or how to get off the wheel. You can stop, do some introspection, and find the wisdom in the experience. If you've had multiple experiences that you feel were mistakes, you'll probably find that you've been missing the wisdom several times. Hence, you needed to repeat the experience with different people. You'll also discover that you've probably gained more wisdom from those experiences than you give yourself credit for. Here's the wonderful, the best part of the introspection and finding the wisdom. Once you've grasped it, a quantum of light is formed in every cell in your body, and this is irreversible. Then you radiate your new truth, and you attract people who resonate with the new, better, stronger, wiser you. That's something to look forward to. The more you manage to find the balance in every part of your past, the more you are ready to move into the beautiful future that you deserve and that you create with every waking thought. You can use affirmations. And affirmation is like a mantra that you say over and over because of the calming effect on your mind or because you want to create a state of mind. An affirmation only works when the words resonate with your soul. It doesn't work when you try. Remember, try is like being partly pregnant. Or when you use the affirmation to push back fear. My view is that focused thought and action are far more powerful than affirmations. How do I protect myself against crime? Firstly, watch your thoughts. You should by now understand how important your thoughts are. If you want a magic wand to protect you against crime, then look no further than between your ears. The first step is to watch your thoughts, and from there also to watch your language. When you create a fear, it becomes real, and it's part of your consciousness. When you create the fear, the universe doesn't judge. You formulate the fear into words and you add the emotion and the judgment. I'll give you an example. A lady wanted all her life to see London. She eventually had the opportunity when her husband gave her an anniversary gift of 2 weeks in London. The moment she had the plane tickets in her hands, she started worrying about her personal safety, even though she was going to be with her husband and their friends all the time. She very soon convinced herself that she was going to get mugged in London. Guess what? On their second day in this interesting city, she went out of the hotel alone and got mugged. At home, she would never walk around on her own in a strange place, but in London she chose to do so. Imagine if she had used her thoughts to convince herself that she would be safe in London, or anywhere else that she wanted to put her mind to. Here's a question for you. Are you aware of the crime in your city? Do you know who the criminals are? And do you distance yourself from them because you're not a criminal? If you do, good for you. Now another question. How do you feel about exceeding the speed limit or ignoring a stop sign? Do you give back any excess change that the shop assistant paid you when you become aware of it? Do you use the phone at work to make personal calls when you know it's not allowed? Do you tell your children, don't buy printing paper, I'll bring you some from the office, without even thinking twice that you are stealing and condoning theft? I recently travelled down a straight road which intersected with various other roads. There were stop signs on the intersecting road. I was within my rights to travel, and I saw that the young man was going to ignore the stop sign that he had to obey. I slowed down, and he slowed down when he saw me, even though he was already past the stop sign. I then smiled at him and pointed a finger at him. His response was to show me a very nasty hand sign, because I had the audacity to remind him that he was in the wrong. I imagine he went home and complained about the crime and the criminals in the country, not thinking twice about his own behavior. Change and protection against crime starts with one thought at a time. Try it.